Hi, I'm Dave Atkinson, and welcome to Life on the Straight. This 18th installment in the Epic Remodel series covers the period of March 15th through May 2nd, 7 long weeks. This segment differs from the others because on March 27th, our contractor had to lay off his crew due to COVID shutting down pretty much all work throughout the country. But before we get to that, more progress was being made on our remodel project. The crew began demolishing the front deck on Monday, and by the end of Tuesday, it was gone. Frank provided us with an up-to-date drawing of the front deck. It didn't differ from previous drawings other than in one area. Now, the concrete ramp leading up to the stairs would be shorter, allowing for more flexibility when we later would tackle the job of paving the front driveway. We also told Frank to hold off on pouring a garage apron, as we had a more comprehensive plan in mind for the future. At the same time, Frank gave us the plans for the rear deck and said that he would be building off of those shortly. Also on Tuesday, the crew began work on the rear deck. Lines were set and large rectangular areas were marked off where the post foundations would go. The next day, the crew began excavating by hand each of the rectangular holes. Frank had been talking to the plumber and needed our decisions as to the make and model of bathroom fixtures. We decided to go with the Moen brand for much of it, although Grohe would be used for a few key components such as the hall bath wall-mounted faucet and a valve in the master shower. We liked Moen's brushed nickel finishes. The drywall crew continued their work with the garage getting mudded and taped. On Wednesday, Amy and I drove to the local Home Depot and picked up our order of bathroom tile and medicine cabinets. We stored them out in the barn until they would be needed. On Thursday, we were given the new cost estimate for tile throughout the house. The labor costs would be higher because we had decided on more wall tile than what Frank had originally budgeted for, and we also were going to go with a heating element below the master bathroom flooring, which added work for the tile guy as well as our electrician. On Friday, after much back and forth with Frank and the tile supplier, we decided to use 4-inch by 12-inch ceramic subway tiles for the bathroom wall surfaces. Also on Friday, the COVID virus made its first impact to our project. The fireplace mantel that was supposed to be delivered to the local slate and tile provider was delayed as the trucking company that was going to ship it shut down. The local slate dealer would be coming over bringing a few other samples to choose from. I don't have notes as to what product we chose, but the slate tiles were 12-inch by 12-inch and had actual fossils embedded in them, and they complemented the California Gold natural stone product that would be the face of our fireplace wall. We also heard from the painter on Friday regarding our paint selection questions. He recommended going with Sherwin-Williams ProMar 200 white ceiling paint, and for the walls, Rada Super 2 eggshell in whatever color we chose. The following Monday brought us another unexpected shock. Frank sent us a video of Wes moving a rear deck support post back and forth. The saddle bracket that secured the post to the concrete foundation had corroded to the point of failure. Frank said that they would install temporary support immediately. The crew tested out all of the other supporting posts and saddle brackets and found a few more that they replaced. Frank also provided us with several choices of hardy material for the sunroom deck skirting and asked if we wanted it to go to the ground or sit slightly above. The latter choice would be less expensive, and that's what we went with. Using shovels, the crew began excavating the square holes for the footings that would anchor the concrete components of the rear deck support structure. They had to be careful to dig around the pipes that carried roof runoff out to the drywall, although in retrospect, it didn't really matter, as the pipes had long been plugged up with sand. By Wednesday, the crew also removed more material from the front deck, including the original left stair stringer that had been attached to the house. They had removed all of the old pavers around the front and rear deck areas and stacked them on pallets out next to the motorhome. They also installed a protective material around the two outside lower corners of the house where the new deck would go. By the end of Thursday, the drywall subcontractor had primed and textured most of the interior sheetrock. That same day, the COVID virus put its foot down and said, "Stop." Perry Construction notified us that they had laid off Wes and John, and with a few exceptions, Frank would come out on his own and do some work that he could handle without any help. Our project was now on hold. On March 30th, the Federal Department of Human Services designated residential construction as essential infrastructure business, but our state chose to be more cautious and forbid such work. March 25th was the date that our governor ordered "Stay home, stay healthy" to take effect. That order was supposed to expire on April 6th, but he extended it until May 4th. Meanwhile, Amy and I moved forward with a little garden project we had wanted to do. We ordered galvanized screen material, special planter boxes, rebar, and lumber from Home Depot, and then topsoil from a local provider, and cleared out the old planter boxes next to the blueberry cages that had been hard for me to reach. With the help of our neighbor, we were able to level out areas and construct two raised planters, one for asparagus and the other for a variety of vegetables. There would now be plenty of room for me to move around them using my little seat-on-wheels garden cart that I used, and Frank was nice enough to let me use his saw. Even though Frank's crew would not return until May 4th, our project moved forward in several areas. A few subcontractors felt comfortable doing their work, as long as nobody else was in the house with them. We ordered and received a replacement glass globe for a ceiling fan that had accidentally been broken, and after Frank supplied us with information regarding the sizes and numbers needed of floor registers, we placed our order with Signature Hardware for some attractive oil-rubbed bronze ones. Amy worked with Jeff, telling him where the holes should be drilled for the large drawer face poles, and he later gave us a website link where we could view our nearly completed cabinets and desk in his shop, and they were beautiful. Everything was constructed from solid wood, no particle board, and Amy's new desk was made out of solid hickory with amazing grain patterns that flowed from one drawer face to the next. Somebody from the drywall subcontractor came over on the 13th to remove most of the paper that had protected the floor, and by the end of the next day, Frank had constructed a temporary ramp up to the front door. Our electrician showed up on the 15th to install light switches in the visible side of our can light fixtures, and we finally had light throughout most of the house. He also replaced the chain light fixture in the stairwell with a can light. Looking at my records, it was April 8th when we first exchanged emails with Lincoln talking about what a future generator should look like. He had wired the panels and had brought thick wiring over to where it exited the east wall of the house to a generator inlet, but we didn't know what capacities we should go with. According to Lincoln, a generator should put out 240 volts with a minimum of 7,000 watts running and 9,000 watts peak. Also on the 15th, the hardwood flooring order arrived and was staged throughout the house. We chose 3/4 inch red oak that will be stained, sanded, and sealed with a conversion varnish, a treatment that would give superior durability for a household with pets and a wheelchair. We also provided Frank with our garage door of choice, a Wayne Dalton 8300 ranch panel door in white with the optional gray tinted upper windows. It would be mated to a LiftMaster 8500 side mount unit with battery backup and internet connectivity. On April 16th, Frank told us that his tile vendor would soon be placing our order, and as it was coming from 3 different parts of the country, there could be COVID-caused delays in delivery. For the primary floor tile, we went with a product from Landmark Ceramics called Milestone. The material was porcelain. The format would be 12-inch by 24-inch, and the color was West Black. The veining, color shades, and grain effects made each tile stand out, and as there were so many variations of tiles before the pattern repeats, that the final installation almost looks like every tile is unique. For our bathroom wall tile, we went with the manufacturer American Olean and chose their ceramic 12-inch by 4-inch subway style called Urban Canvas in semi-gloss ice white. On the 17th, we noticed that templates had been screwed to the floor where the kitchen island would go, and also where the tile would meet up against the hardwood flooring. During this time, we were bugging Frank about the squeaking kitchen floors. Frank went throughout the kitchen area adding more screws to the subfloor, but that didn't fix it. He thought it might be the duct hangers in the basement, but eventually found what was going on. The kitchen area is where a lot of heavy stuff sits: cabinets, countertops, and appliances. Frank guessed that the engineered floor trusses were groaning under the stress, and a person walking on the floor just added more weight and hence more groaning. His solution was to install some posts and beams in the basement to shore up this section of flooring, and it did the trick. No more squeaky floors. On April 21st, the mason arrived to begin work on the fireplace. First up was the backer board installation. Then he secured 1/2-inch OSB to the floor, on which he temporarily placed the 1/4-inch thick mantelpieces. Combined, that would be the height of the floor once the 3/4-inch hardwood planks were laid down. Then he used the top of the mantel for where the rock wall would begin and worked his way from bottom to top. He treated the rock surface with a color enhancer and sealer. After he had finished up with the wall, he removed the mantel and OSB and installed a permanent 1/2-inch black material and then the mantel tiles on top. Frank had been working with this metal fabrication press and created some panels to better protect the lower exterior wood of the sunroom. The sunroom is subject to a lot of wind and salt air, and these panels would add another layer of robust protection. On April 29th, our wheelchair lift arrived. The subcontractor had it installed by the end of the day, but it would still need to be certified a few days later before anyone could use it. On the 30th, Frank installed our entry door lock set. He also installed a wash station outside, along with a large A-board with COVID-related safety instructions for the crew and subcontractors, plus a table that held masks, paper towels, and hand sanitizer. In a few days, the crews would cautiously return to work. That wraps up 7 weeks of progress of our Epic Remodel project despite the COVID timeout. Thank you for watching Life on the Straight, and if you'd like to follow the story as it unfolds, please consider subscribing, which is free.